All right, the first task. Answer for me in the comments. Do you ever see Arkansas becoming a blue state, or at the very least becoming a swing state that's more talked about in the national coverage? Because as of right now, Arkansas has trended heavily to the right. It is being a 30-point win for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. All four members of the House of Representatives are Republicans, both senators, the governor, attorney general. Arkansas is a Republican stronghold at this point, and I would love to know your thoughts as if that might change in the future. But here we are to talk about why it has trended so far to the right. Something very interesting about Arkansas is that it was the eighth consecutive presidential election cycle in which Republicans increased their margins in Arkansas. So let's look at some previous elections to really put into context here. In 1988, Reagan won the state by 14 points. In 92, Bill Clinton came around, was the former attorney general, was a longtime governor in Arkansas, won the state by 17 points. I put the third-party influence of Ross Perot, 10.43% there. That's going to be my next video, so check that out on Tuesday. But as you can see, even if you applied all of Ross Perot's percentages in 92 and in 96, respectively, towards Republican candidates, that wouldn't have made the difference. Clinton comfortably won this state. But nonetheless, let's move on to 2000. As we can see, very close, 5.45%. Of course, that was Gore versus Bush, which was just a close election in general. 2004, it pops back up to about 10 points. So pretty much outside the realm of maybe this is a swing state. 10 points is pretty healthy. But what really made me want to do this video is this right here in 2008. I also had a great comment on my Why is Vermont So Liberal video, which I will link in the description, about Arkansas. So I think it's just so interesting that in 2008, we all had that huge cult of personality candidate, Barack Obama, who's very popular, who destroyed John McCain in that election, getting much less of the vote in Arkansas. Twice the amount there, from going from 10% to 20% margin of victory for Republicans. I think that's super interesting in the year of Obama. And it wasn't just Obama. It wasn't like people of Arkansas disagree with his politics or liked other candidates more. The trend continued in 2012 with Obama. 2016 continued to balloon. 2020, even when that was a down year for Trump and he lost the election, support grew in Arkansas, and then it has steadily increased to 30.64% in 2024. Now, why is that? What can we dive into? Well, first we have to understand the state of Arkansas as a whole, right? So not hugely populated. You're only going to see 6 electoral votes or so on the map typically. About 70% white, 16% or so black, 8.5% Hispanic. So not super diverse, but has some diversity there. Arkansas, of course, is a part of that core Bible Belt of the South. And you could say that just the South in general is going to be more conservative in terms of elections. But I look at Florida, which used to be a huge swing state. I look at Georgia, which is becoming very much now more of the quintessential swing state as it just went Republican, Democrat, Republican. I look at North Carolina, which is also always very close. And those states are in the South. So just because you're in the South doesn't mean you're going to vote conservative. Arkansas, in terms of religion, is very religious. As you can see here, 70% of the people there are Protestant, only 18% unaffiliated, 8% Catholic. It's highly, highly, highly religious. About 80% of the population is Christian. Only 2% of the state is atheist. And if we go here, we can see that typically, and I covered this in my Vermont video as well, because Vermont was extremely agnostic. But as you can see, in 2008, Barack Obama captured fully 3/4 of the vote among the religiously unaffiliated. It seems that more of the secular vote skews left or skews Democrat, and the evangelical or religious vote skews right slightly. And as you can see, in Arkansas, it's a very religious state, part of the Bible Belt, not a lot of agnostics or unaffiliated or atheist people there. And so it's already trending with some of those social views in terms of to the right. The Bible Belt is very socially conservative. There's high church attendance in Arkansas as well. And that can kind of paint a picture of who are the demographics, who are the voters in Arkansas, so we can see why the state is the way it is. As we look at the 2000 election, pretty split, half and half, reddish blue there in terms of the counties. Bush only won this state by about 5.5 points. It was a flip for him because in 96 it went Democratic. I think maybe Gore did so well because he was Clinton's vice president. He probably had some of that Clinton mystique kind of rubbing off on him in 2000, and he was able to make this a very close race. And if we transition to 2004, gets a little bit bigger. Could have been because of incumbency bias or something like that with George W. Bush, but very interesting. 2008. This is where we've got to look at this. Okay. Barack Obama did extremely well in this election. It'll be a breakdown at some point. 365 electoral votes to John McCain's 173. I mean, a modern day blowout. We really haven't seen one of those in a very long time. But Obama did that in 2008. What's so interesting is how much support he lost for the Democratic Party in Arkansas. Why did it trend so far to the right? Let's try to make some sense of this going to the by-county results. There's quite a bit of counties in Arkansas, and as you can see, a lot of them are to the right. And the ones that are to the left, again, we're not dealing with a super populated state, as we can see the counts here on the right. But a lot of these left-leaning counties are low in population and aren't going to swing the vote too much. But if we scroll down to the bottom, to the counties that flipped Republican, this catches my eye. You've got 12 counties that flipped to red. That is super interesting. I think another reason that we can just kind of talk about the state, look at the state, is it doesn't have any huge cities that typically would drive that urban vote that skews very heavily to the left. It's just not much of a populated state. We're going to get those large groups of people that voting to the left. I mean, Pulaski County is the most populated, and it's only at 55% to the left. That's just not high enough numbers to be able to sustain all these red counties and small rural counties voting. Just to only have 88,000 votes there. I mean, as you look here, look at all these conservative votes adding up. And then as you look at the other most populated counties in Arkansas, they really aren't super high in population, at least compared or relative to other states. But Benton County is the second most populated, and Benton goes to the right overwhelmingly in 2008. Washington County, if we scroll down, we got Faulkner here first, 62% to the right. That's one of the other highly populated counties. Garland County, a highly populated county, 62% to the right. I mean, you just typically don't see this in some of my other breakdowns of states. The 4 out of the 5, or even sometimes all 5 of the most populous counties go to the left. That's just not happening in Arkansas. Even that urban vote isn't really amounting to anything for the Democrats. Washington County, another bigger county, 55% of the vote going red. And Saline County, my last one, 44,000 total votes, 70% red. Very hard for the left to overcome here and to win the state if you're not even getting the pull of the bigger counties, which they typically do. Most maps you're going to see of states are going to have mostly red, and then these blue counties are very high population, and it makes the states closer. But in Arkansas, that is just not happening. Again, it could be what we talked about the religious reasons, just being the Bible Belt. It tends to be more socially conservative, whereas Democratic and liberal views are more socially liberal, obviously. And that is quite a determination there. In 2012, it continues to grow for the right. If we go to the bi-county, as we can see here, Pulaski County, we still have Pulaski County got a little bit more red. We didn't have any counties flip, but most of the counties we just had swing more to the right. Like, let's look at Benton and some of the other higher population counties. For example, 69% red in 2012, and in 2008 it was 67%. And again, it's a small margin, but when you have a county that is one of the biggest, those are going to start to swing a lot of votes in the state because it is such a high number of the population, right? Another county we can look at is Faulkner County, 64.45% for the right in 2012, and in 2008 it was 61.59%. Again, just these little small increments of change. Let's go down to Washington County, and we are sitting at 56% red in 2012. Let's see if 2008, if there was an increase. 55.52. So again, very small. But these all add up. And when you're not losing any counties either, that can make a big difference. Let's go to the Trump year, 2016. Let's see what happened in the counties. Oh, that's 2016. Let's see what happened in the counties here. So if I scroll down at first, I'm just trying to see if there's any counties that flipped. There was one county, Woodruff. Not really a big deal. Very little amount of votes. Pulaski County, 56% blue. That seems... actually went more to the left from 2012. That's very interesting because our margin in 2016 went up a pretty good amount. A couple of points there. So that's very interesting. Let's keep looking at this, though. Washington County went down to 50% red in 2016. That seems like a decrease. 56% red in 2012. Wow. Super interesting. Let me check Benton County. 63% red in 2016. And in 2012 is 69%. Wow. So Trump must have done considerably worse in the higher populated counties, and maybe that was kind of the era of when urban counties were starting to move more and more to the left. But that is kind of shocking that Trump was able to win the state by more when losing votes in those big counties. I'm just going to take a snapshot of 8,526. Okay, get a good look at that. Let's go to the exact same part in our other map. Looks pretty similar. 58.4%. 64 point. Okay, so as you can see here, look at these counties right here. And again, small amounts, but this might tell the story that a lot of the rural counties and the not as populated counties in Arkansas went towards Trump. So look at these numbers here. Sorry about that. This amount right here in 2012, and then look at the increase in 2016. Quite a bit. Crawford County goes up to 74%, Craighead at 64%, and those were at 64% and 73.55% respectively. So just a little bit of increases there to kind of offset what he lost in the big counties in 2012. Let's see how 2020 looked for Trump and see if we can gain some more understanding of this state and what kind of drives it. Benton County, it looks like went up a little bit. No, down a little bit again. Wow. That's a mystery. Faulkner County, 61.75 in 2016. Let's see what is that here. 63%. Okay, so that's an improvement. Let's go to Pulaski. 60% blue in 2020. Let's see what it was in 2016. 56% blue. So, wow. It looks like doing these little flips here, Trump was able to, in 2020 and 2016, he's just building on the not as populated counties in Arkansas. That could be the only way to explain that. So that is interesting. Let's fast forward to 2024, and I want to see, so we had one county flip Republican. I want to see if the trends are still so Pulaski at 59.79 in 2020, it was 60%. I just want to see the trends where they point to for these big cities, because we might have just found something out live right here. 65% red. We might have just found something out live that maybe Arkansas weirdly has a chance. 63%. It built since 2020, so maybe not. Let's look at Benton. Benton's been 62% red in 2024. In 2020, it was 61.68. So it looks like it got a little bit back on track. That's very interesting with Trump in 2012, 2016, 2020. Or 2016, 2020, because I was going to say that maybe that's a chance for Democrats, that as more people start immigrating in, more people start moving there, and the cities can become more populated, and they keep moving to the left, maybe they could offset some of these gains in the rural parts of Arkansas. But it looks like Trump has kind of gotten back on track there in those cities respectively. But 2028 would be very interesting to see if maybe those came down a little bit. That'd be super interesting. I want to get back again to some of how the voters vote in that 2008 election to kind of paint a picture of what goes on in Arkansas as far as the demographics. So here I have election results, exit polls in 2008. I think these are extremely interesting. One that jumps out right away. This is kind of typical to see men be very conservative, but women to go this way is very, very strange. You don't usually see this. And the shift from 2004 and 2008, as you can see, is plus 18 towards red. That does not happen often. The female vote being this skewed red is very interesting, and that's kind of what started this build, I think, for Arkansas to become a very Republican stronghold. As you can see, the white vote is heavily 68% red. Black vote went for Obama in a very, very high number. The shift here, plus 11, that's going to offset the plus 2. And the other big thing is here, the white vote seems to be very reliable in Arkansas. They're about 70% of the population, give or take, but the percent of the voters are 83% white. So it looks like the minorities, I mean, we only have two ethnicities listed here, white and black. We don't even have Hispanic. Black is only at 12%, and they're 15% of the population. So the white evangelical voters are coming out in big waves, it seems like, in Arkansas. No matter how you voted today, do you think yourself as Democrat was actually the highest amount, which kind of makes sense. This is like the Bill Clinton Democrat. Only 77% of them actually went for Obama. That's not very reliable. That's plus 8 shift here. Republican, this is actually down to plus 8 shift for liberals. But this is huge. This tells a story. The independents in Arkansas, and it's a pretty good chunk of them, 31%, moving to the right, 67%. That is huge, folks. That independent vote is supposed to be in the 50s. It's supposed to just be around 50-50 and flip elections slightly. To go plus 15 red, that is a big-time shocker. As you can see there, the small cities being blue, that checks out. It's very rural. Most 30% of the voters, the biggest group was from rural areas. That definitely skews to the right. That is super interesting. All the education, even postgraduate studies, college graduates, we see that be heavily, heavily, heavily blue. It's red in Arkansas. So if you ever wonder why the state is so conservative, that is a pretty good showing right there. I think also the women vote and the amount of whites that actually show up in the independents are very huge in Arkansas. We can look at some 2020 exit polls as well. As you can see, women are, again, super conservative in Arkansas. 60% of going for Trump, 66% of men going for Trump. That makes a little bit of sense, but the women is very high. Again, college graduates at 53% red. That is shocking. You do not see that a lot. Religious-wise, the Protestant, which is a huge number, 73% of them are conservative. Here is the gay and lesbian and the LGBT vote. A high percentage of the people are not that, and they go red by an overwhelming majority. I'm trying to see if where can we find, independent. Look at this. 61% of people identify as Republican in Arkansas. That is huge. Not independents. Wow. Very liberal. 10% of the people are very liberal. 24% of the people are very conservative. 2.5 times more. Only 26% of the population voted for Hillary, 50% for Trump in 2016, and 94% of them stayed with Trump. They doubled down. Here's some very specific coronavirus questions. Let's see if I can find the white... Oh, misspelled that. The white vote was, again, 82% of voters, and 72% of that went to the right. They don't even have data on Latino or Hispanic, Asian, all these other ones, even black. That's interesting. But as you can see, we're painting a picture of, this is a very conservative demographic of voters. Very conservative. I wanted to show here that evangelical vote, how powerful it is. That Bible vote, how powerful it is. So white evangelicals, which is a huge percentage of Arkansas, 82% went with Trump, 61% of Protestants, a big amount. Black Protestant, that's probably a fair amount in Arkansas, goes overwhelmingly blue, but it's hard to offset that because there's so many white voters there. More religiously unaffiliated, skews heavily to the left, and there's just not a lot of that in Arkansas. So that's extremely interesting. I'd love to end the video with a little bit of looking at the governors in Arkansas. So as you can see, in 2014, went pretty overwhelmingly to the right there. In 2018, Again, a big number. It's kind of around that Trump time where it really started to increase. 2022 with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, another landslide victory, and then assuming she'll be running again in 2026, the incumbent. But I'd like to give a little bit of hope for the Democrats. So if you go before 2014, look at this. Mike Beebe winning every county, getting 64% of the vote. It can be done. It can be done that Arkansas can have a liberal governor. It can be done. In 2006, he also won by a very healthy amount. So I would like to end the video with that Arkansas does have a chance to be blue with the right candidate. But it would definitely be hard to break through as this is in 2006 and in 2010, and the state has gotten considerably more right-leaning since then. I'd love for you guys to tell me why you think that is, why you think it happened specifically around Obama and then Clinton, and with the rise of Trump, why Arkansas has went so far to the right. I just think it's very interesting. Let me know if you want to see more breakdowns like this. And as always, enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.